What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Jacob and Me podcast show.
Are we in the 1960s all of a sudden?
Yes, we are. I am the host, Richard Ridio. I like how I changed my voice there. Joined by the man with the noggin, Jacob Bullard. How you doing, Jacob?
It reminded me very vaguely of like the sort of like Cuphead kind of vibe. That voice you were trying to do there.
Did I do it well, though?
I mean, it was okay. I give it like a 6 out of 10.
I just did it off the top
It
of
was
my head.
passing.
Okay, it was
Passing grade, but not like good.
So
You
if
need
I
to
worked
work
on it more, it'd be better.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, all right. I'll think about that. I'll take that one to the bank. Thank you very much. But if you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Jacob and Me podcast, where me and my friend Jacob here talk about anything and everything about video games, movies, TV shows, and anything else we like to jerk off to. Also, we like to talk a little bit about sports, but we're not going to talk about sports, unfortunately. This is a podcast. And we also get into some boring stuff like history and politics at the very end. But it's just going to be history. So it's kind of a shorter one. It's like we kind of said a lot of stuff the last podcast, and it kind of was like, okay, we don't need to do that for this one now.
That was probably the longest. The last one we recorded was probably the longest one we've ever done.
Yeah, but it was a good one because we talked about Assassin's Creed for like 40 minutes. A good 40 minutes of talking about.
Did we really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then we talked about, what was the other thing? We talked about something else for a good minute too. I think it was history. But I think it's because.
We talked a lot of it took us a long time to work through the baseball stuff because of
That was a little bit shorter. It was like 35 minutes of that, but it's okay. Anyways, like I said, I'm the host, Richard Ridio, joined by my best friend, Jacob Bullard, the man with the noggin.
What's up?
So we're going to get into what is going to be coming out this week. But before we do that, our game of the week is a game we've actually kind of touched. It's just because of how busy we are, not just with our regular lives, but with our video game scheduling and how much we play, because you've been doing a lot of FIFA, is Call of Duty Black Ops 4. How do you like them apples?
They're good apples so far.
I've
Apples, tasty. They make good pies.
I've already enjoyed that game, and we're going to talk about it later
You've
on.
already enjoyed it.
And we're going to talk about it later on in the podcast. The podcast. No, we can talk about the podcast over here. So let's talk about what's coming out this week in the world of entertainment.
Let's do it. Let's start with movies. I'd say one really big release and one that has a fair amount of popularity.
Okay.
So the first one, the big one this week, Friday, October 19th, is the return of the Halloween franchise.
Ooh.
With Jamie Lee Curtis reprising her role. Obviously, they're bringing back Michael Myers. Jamie Lee Curtis, alumni of my college, University of the Pacific.
Nice.
Yeah. So I actually have never seen any of the Halloween movies.
Me neither. Too scary. It's too scary. Actually, the guy that I just did the interview, his little brother, who I'm gonna have eventually, I'm gonna interview him too, is a huge Halloween fan.
Okay.
And they actually had a convention apparently where it was just nothing but Halloween, since there's so many movies. So it kind of made sense that they can probably pull off a convention, and they met like a bunch of actors that have acted in all of them.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but he's like really into it. Like he takes selfies in the mirror. He collects like the Michael Myers masks and stuff, and he'll take selfies
Collects
in the mirror.
them? Don't you just need one?
No, there's the variety of them apparently, and
Okay.
he has
All
I
right.
think at least 5 of them.
But that movie's been getting pretty
Yeah.
good reviews so far, I think.
Well, I think because Jamie Lee Curtis is back, and that's like her first time back in probably like 15 years, maybe 20,
I would say at least, yeah.
15, 20 years. I'm not too sure when the last one she was in, but
Probably
it's been a good
longer than
minute.
that.
It's been a good
Probably
minute.
long. It was probably longer than that.
Maybe early 90s, probably.
Yeah. Also coming out Friday, October 19th is a movie called The Hate You Give. It's about, it seems as though, just based on what I've seen from the previews, like before other movies that I've gone to see, it's going to be sort of a Black Lives Matter
Oh wait, I think
sort
I've
of
seen
thing, like police brutality. So it's all, the kid's name is Star.
Star, yeah. She's from
I think so.
I think she was Rue from the Hunger Games.
Okay.
She's just
Sure.
she's older, obviously. She was actually, remember that one comic book series I was getting into a little bit at the what's that one convention that we went to together? WonderCon.
Yeah.
And that booth where it was like those guys explaining everything. She's also was a part of that as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
But we
Yeah.
should, next week you should have read the synopsis to these and not tell us anything or not tell me anything. And then
We can
be
do that.
fun.
That can be arranged. That can be arranged. In the world of television, the premiere of season 2 of Making a Murderer on Netflix comes out on Friday, October 19th. However, that is not the biggest show coming out on Netflix Friday, October 19th, because that happens to be season 3 of Daredevil.
I can't see, but I could still fight you, fool. Dude, that dude
But
is...
Daredevil can see.
I mean,
He's not blind.
I mean, I guess. But, like, he's
It's
still
just
kind of...
like it looks weird.
Yeah, but still, he's kind of blind.
He's supposed to be blind.
Yeah, he's kind of blind.
Yeah.
I'm excited because I haven't watched any of the Marvel stuff since, like, Luke Cage, I believe.
Luke Cage 1 or 2.
1.
Yikes.
So I don't really care about anything else besides him. I watched like a little bit of Jessica Jones, like the second season, but I just never like hooked onto me. So
Okay.
I really enjoyed the Daredevil combo with who's his partner in crime? His lawyer buddy.
Foggy.
Foggy. I enjoy his character.
Foggy, Karen, Paige.
I love the little like.
I don't know if the
trio
Punisher
of
will
them.
be in it or not. And then they have Elektra.
But Foggy is, I like him just because he's from the Mighty Ducks, like, kids series. And when I saw him, I was like, I really want to watch this now.
That was really what got you into Daredevil, was
Yeah.
seeing the dude from Mighty Ducks.
And then I got into the main character, and then the chick, and then all the people he's fighting, Kingpin, who is, what's his name?
Vincent D'Onofrio.
There we go. That guy is brilliant. I love his acting. I love how intense he gets, but then I love how he leads you on and then just kills you. It's like,
Okay.
dude,
Fair
what
enough.
a beast.
Yeah, I think he's probably, I would say he's probably the best actor on television.
Yeah.
Like
Even though
he does movies every once in a while, but like he, at least for the last probably 10, 20 years with like Law and Order and like Daredevil now and stuff that he's done in between, like mostly television.
he's definitely the biggest role definitely for him is probably Full Metal Jacket in the beginning. This is my rifle, and then he kills himself, and then the gunnery sergeant, right, or the training sergeant.
Yeah.
That's an intense movie.
Yeah, he's a really, really good actor. I think all of them really are. I really like Charlie Cox and Elodie Young as Daredevil and Elektra.
I don't what
I
other
like,
stuff has he
their-
done besides Daredevil?
Charlie
though?
Cox?
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
Like I can't think of anything else. There's probably something there I've seen him in, but
It's probably I feel the same way. I'm sure that he's done other things, but I don't really remember knowing who he was until Daredevil.
like this is gonna be his like role where he's just remembered for it. He's gonna. This is his Harry Potter
He
role.
struck it rich already. Like because just with how well Daredevil has been received, and the early reviews for the new season are that this is the best one yet, which it must be pretty good.
I don't
because
see
I
him-
think the first.
I don't see him
First
outside of
season is really, really good.
Daredevil though. I'm not sure how his range is. I would need to see him in something else, but I would think if he was playing like more of an older role, like a creepier person, or maybe like a more vulnerable dad role, I could definitely see him like being a really good supporting actor and like could probably get in one of those Oscar season movies as a supporting actor and snag an Oscar out of that.
He was in Downton Abbey. Oh, that was just one episode.
That sucks.
He was in Boardwalk Empire for 2 seasons. So mostly it looks like television before that. He was also in The Theory of Everything, but that was probably a pretty small role.
Yeah, I think. Oh wait, yeah, I think he was the roommate. Maybe the guy that he falls in love with. He falls in kind of love with.
Okay.
What's his name? Who's that about again? That died. He just died. Ethan Hawking.
No.
Isn't Stephen Hawking.
Hawking.
Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
Stephen Hawking or Steve Hawking?
Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking. Yeah, that's a good movie. I made me cry 2 times.
Twice made you cry. Okay. Also releasing on television this week is the season. I should have written this down. I think it's season 4 for Legends of Tomorrow. So this is the last premiere. Last week in our new releases segment, we had basically all the other CW shows like Supergirl, Arrow, Flash, and Black Lightning all premiered last week on CW, and so this is the last one.
Nice. I watched kind of an episode of Supergirl with Carly, and I'm really glad I didn't get into that show.
Thus, I think that Melissa Benoist is really good as Supergirl, and I like what's his name, David something, the guy that plays Martian Manhunter. I think he's really good as well.
Sure.
Okay, whatever. I think The Legend of Tomorrow for me is the best of the CW shows because it has the most variety, just because of the nature of the show, how they're jumping around throughout time. Like every episode is in like a different time period for the most part, so they have a little bit more freedom just to kind of like mix it up.
Yeah, my problem with that is that there's too many. I don't like watching the CW shows because there's just too many episodes. That's my gripe with all of that. Like I watched 1 and 2 of Flash, and I got to season 4, I believe, of Arrow, but I was so fatigued and I was just not.
Well, I mean, it's
willing to just.
It's a regular length regular length for a network series.
Yeah, I know, but that's like my gripe with it is it seems for me it's too much for me, but for some other people, like Carly's getting into it right now, and some other people that just are really into shows that they have like 24 episode seasons and they enjoy that and that sort of thing. But for me, no thanks.
Well, I think it almost always harms a show to be that long, but like they have to fill that space, which is why episode to episode is not as good. There are exceptions of like really quality episodes.
It's a comic book though. It's like a comic book on TV.
Yeah, I guess. But
like I get it. It's fine.
You look at how like good Daredevil is, like the first 2 seasons that they've done, like only being I think 13.
Yeah.
So like half the length, like it literally cuts out just all the crap. Like so there are bad episodes here and there, but for the most part, like they're making solid progress like every single episode.
After all the episodes or watching of all the Marvel shows, like Daredevil was like far ahead of everything else, honestly. I mean, I haven't watched The Punisher, so I don't have an opinion on that.
The Punisher was really good. I really liked it.
I would have to watch it back to front. And I really enjoy the actor from that show. I don't remember his name.
Bernthal.
Yeah, Bernthal.
John Bernthal.
I totally forgot he was in the Pacific too.
Yes, he is.
And Fury, dude. That dude's just a great actor.
And he was in The Walking Dead too.
And The Wolf of Wall Street. Man, that guy's
I haven't seen that movie, so.
Yeah, he was in that.
Okay. So Legends of Tomorrow releasing Monday the 22nd of October. Then lastly, in the world of video games, if you own a Nintendo Switch and you want to play Dark Souls, may the Force be with you.
Is it the total remaster?
Yeah.
Of one or
just
all
one?
Of them?
Just one. Dark Souls Remastered is just the first one. That releases Friday, the 19th of October. And then also releasing that day is Soul Calibur 6 for PC, Xbox, and PS4. The first Soul Calibur in a while. The last one was
in high school.
360 era, I think.
School,
so, yeah.
We were in high school. That Yoda, Darth Vader.
This one has Geralt.
A bunch of other people.
You can play as Geralt in this one. There's one other special character I think they announced, but I forgot who it was.
I think probably the reason why they didn't re-release or have anything kind of after that is probably it didn't. Not that it didn't sell well. I'm not too sure. We have to check the numbers out on that. But to bring in new characters, like I don't know how new you could have been. Like I think the set of characters they have now is probably a decent amount. But I hope if this thing kind of like catches on, they can kind of expand. But the problem is like you have to have specific characters that have a sword or a sword wielding object, kind of in a way.
Yes.
Some kind of combat weapon. You can. That's not really combat like a Street Fighter or
Injustice or Mortal Kombat. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good return. We'll see how good it does.
So that is everything. Movies, television, and video games releasing for the week, running from technically Wednesday the 17th through Tuesday the 23rd. Everything of note that's coming out then.
Nice. All right. Let's get into some topics. That was what came out this week, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get into topics, let us know in the comments down below what you think and what you are looking forward to, and if anything we missed. If we missed anything, let us know so I can comment on it and make fun of it. Let's get into the topics. We've already talked about what we're going to talk about, so let's get into the first one, which I can't read upside down. What does that say?
Call of Duty.
What was the? Oh wait, no, never mind.
The other one is
New
okay.
releases. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
That's what I was like. Wait, what does that say? Anyways, Call of Duty Black Ops 4 Quattro.
I can't believe we made it this far.
Definitely. Just the Black Ops series is insane.
That they haven't like made a new name by now.
Mm-hmm. So, I haven't played Black Ops since Black Ops 1. So the first time I played Black Ops was the last time I
Really,
played
you didn't
it.
play Black Ops 2? I feel like for sure you played Black Ops 2.
No, I ain't mess with it. I stopped playing Call of Duty after Black Ops.
Okay.
Because I always said no. I don't.
Lucky you. Get out while the...
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But I've been playing the last 3 Call of Duties. I've enjoyed them. They're not...
So what is that? Infinite. So you played 3. That means you played 3 very different Call of Duties because they would be Infinite Warfare, and then World War II,
and then now Black Ops 2.
Okay.
I think I've went over someone's house or something like that, or played something, or I played online with someone and played like other Call of Duties, but I was just trying it. I was like, oh, let me try this, and it was like, oh, this is Call of Duty. But the jumping and whatnot, because of the Titanfall effect, apparently happened. This Call of Duty though is quite different. One thing that's missing, obviously, is a story mode, but I think they have like a mission where you play as each character, I believe.
Yeah.
That you have in Black Ops or multiplayer.
So each one of the classes, the multiplayer classes, has like a one-off mission, basically, that you can... Oh, attaboy.
Not so good.
That you can do to, I guess, satisfy all those single-player nerds that are out there.
So that's
I haven't played any of them, but it exists if you want to play it.
So that'd be interesting if they introduce... It's not like a Siege kind of... Because I haven't played the multiplayer. I've only played Blackout so far. Is it similar to like Siege, where they're going to add... like it's like a set character where you can only like change out certain weapons?
It's the weapons, I'm pretty sure you have free reign over.
Okay. Just the characters.
The difference is obviously the appearance and then the abilities.
Okay.
So each character has like a mini super sort of thing. Like I would describe it, I guess, more as an ability and then a super.
Okay.
But the two of them are kind of related. They're like in the same vein.
Okay.
So one guy, for example, you can like scan and see through walls and track enemies that way. And another one puts down this nuclear reactor thing, and if you're close to it, it burns you and you die.
Dust.
And so there's an ability that's, I think, just the right bumper, that gives you a short kind of buff of some kind, or a special weapon for a short period of time, or something like that. And each character has their own. Okay,
so it's similar to like Siege, where like the characters have like their like ability, right?
Yeah. But then on top of that, there's a Destiny style sort of super, where like you rack up points. They're not as OP as the Destiny ones. Like the golden gun in Destiny, like you shoot someone and they die.
Yeah,
it's not like it's not dumb. That far along, but
Destiny.
Yeah. But there are, so like as you get kills and complete objectives and stuff like that in the game, you rack up points towards the super, and it's like an Uber version of whatever your ability is, kind of.
Okay, that's simple. I think I can get down with that. I just have to play it. Like
it's definitely it takes getting used to.
Yeah, it's definitely a game where it's gonna replace probably PUBG for me, just to pop in and see what we're gonna play.
Yeah,
it might be replacing my multiplayer experience, just because I've already played 2 games of Blackout, and I already have a strong opinion of it. I already feel.
Ooh.
And I feel that it's what probably Call of Duty should have gone into in that direction, if that makes any sense.
Okay. And so you're saying that like you wish Call of Duty had like been the one that started this battle royale stuff.
Yeah, because they do it so much better.
That's what I would say too. Blackout is not without its flaws, but it also definitely skews much more into the PUBG realm than it does the Fortnite realm. The Fortnite Like, I don't think this is going to impact too many people. I'd be curious to see. I know that Call of Duty has been doing much better on Twitch, like the streaming numbers and stuff like that, than Fortnite has ever since the Call of Duty launch. But obviously, Fortnite's like a year and a half old at this point. But I think that Blackout is not going to catch as many people who are like regular Fortnite people than it is, but it is going to catch basically everyone that was playing PUBG.
Yeah.
And the gameplay mechanics are basically all of PUBG, with exception of some of like you can find like kill streaks, like you can pick up like the little RC car that you can detonate, and stuff like that you can pick up along the map. So there are kind of like Call of Duty specific things that are in it.
Yeah, but I feel those things that resembles more of like the Fortnite games where you can pick up abilities that are like crazy or like, what is going on? I didn't know that existed.
Yeah.
Because like the game I played, or the 2 games I played, I was just basically playing like I was playing PUBG, just hiding in grass, and the players just passed me, and I'm just like, bro, where you been the last year, man? Have you not playing PUBG or whatnot? And then just popping up and just finish him. And I haven't gotten too immersed in the layouts and whatnot, but I think that's just a like learning curve that's gonna happen that you just have to do. Like playing PUBG, I remember asking you and Anthony, okay, what do I need to do? How do I do this? What buttons am I hitting? That's all it is. It's just a learning curve.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then just like the weapons as well, getting to know the weapons, getting your hands on weapons. I'm not gonna probably do what I did in PUBG and try all weapons. So far, I think the assault rifles are just my cup of tea, I guess, that I'm just not gonna not mess with. The only problem is probably with the range. I need to get my range down.
Yeah,
like probably with a sniper rifle or some sort of weapon like that. But so far, so good. I feel though I'm going to be like the type of player that's very basic in his approach and not too diverse with grabbing like certain gear or abilities, I feel.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm going to have to do that to be successful in this game, which is nice.
I think so that they've done a really good job of implementing in. I think they took the right aspects from Fortnite. So one thing that's nice about Fortnite is, for example, the map diversity, how like there are basically regions on the map and like they're completely different. From like in PUBG, they have 3 or 4 maps now, but those maps are basically the same. No matter where you are on the map, like the topography is the same, the trees and all that look the same, buildings are the same, stuff like that. But the Call of Duty map, it's a large map, but it still has those regions. There's a desert region, there's a military base, there's like a kind of like mountainous sort of like country up in the north, and like a little bit of everything in between. And they did a really good job with that. It's really nice to see like certain areas. The Estates, for example, is like an old Modern Warfare 2 map. So there are actual like old multiplayer maps that are in the Blackout.
Yeah, which
map,
is genius.
Which is really cool.
It's super smart and super clever, but it's also it makes people aware and kind of nostalgic as well. Kind of like, I want to go back to this.
For sure.
Like I just want to land here just to like go into this map and just look at it closely and see how detailed it was from like the last time I saw this.
Yeah.
And it for Call of Duty, you always have that feel where you can close your eyes and go through a map, and I think people are gonna have the same kind of feel to this as well. Even though I kind of felt that with the PUBG map, but this is just another level and with like a lot more layers.
Yeah.
That's gonna make me feel. It already makes me feel good to just jump in.
Yeah, I remember the first time that I went to Estates, and Estates, the house that's there is I don't know if you remember the map, but it's there's this kind of circular bar that sits right on a pool, and then there's a pool on the very edge of the map, and then the pool is like one of those infinity pools where like the edge is like it's like an invisible edge sort of thing, and like that was the.
I have to take another look at it to remember.
So like that, I remember just seeing there and like getting to that pool area and like realizing like, oh crap, I've been here before.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've played Call of Duty here before. And so it is a little bit different because like there are doors and stuff. You can open all the doors, and so it's tweaked a little bit. It's not exactly like it was, but it's pretty cool to see. And the zombies map is in there, so like in the middle of the Blackout map, there's like a zombie mansion and there's zombies walking around and stuff like that.
I haven't seen that yet.
So that's pretty cool.
I've only gone to spots where no one's going. Just how like I said, I played this exactly like how I play PUBG. The 2 games I played, I got top 5. 3 kills both games.
Yeah.
So I'm not like doing nothing. I'm just really conservative, I guess. I don't want to be offensive yet to where I'm playing just reckless and not learning, but you still can learn. But I want it to be more efficient with it and like be more, I guess, tactical and then also just deadly.
Yeah. I think that they've done a really good job implementing the Call of Duty specific things. Like we were talking about earlier, I think they've done a really good job of implementing the perks. So now you find basically these like little suitcases on the ground, and it'll be like extra scat. You'll be able to loot more ammo. You'll be able to heal quicker and revive teammates or be revived quicker. There's paranoia, so like if someone's aiming at you. There's just all these different perks, and they're these little. You activate them, and it lasts 2 minutes. So it adds a little bit of a strategic element.
Because
especially to the end game, because like everyone, as you get 10 to 20 people left, everyone starts turning on these perks. So it adds a little bit of intrigue at the very end. One of my criticisms just right now is I think that there are not too many weapon types, but there's too many different types of ammo, I think.
Okay.
So like PUBG, and it's also not at all obvious because by the names of the guns, you would never be able to tell what they are. I guess maybe I'm just spoiled a little bit by the simplicity of PUBG, where it was like you knew that the M4, the M16, and the M14 all fired 5.56, and like the AK and the car like were 7.62.
They probably need to have a like parentheses or some kind of notification thing that tells you or that has it labeled there, I guess. Unless you just have to play games so many times.
Yeah, like I'll get used to it for sure, where I start to learn and find certain weapons that like I know this uses 5.56, I know this uses this, that, and the other. But that's like there's a learning curve there, and it's much more difficult than it was in PUBG because the names don't help you out at all. And I think that because there's like 9mm and 45 and 50 cal and 338, there are just too many ammo types. I think I think if they could have even cut it down by 1, like not get rid of the gun, but get rid of like make that gun shoot 45 ammo or whatever, just for the sake of just a little bit more simplicity. Because there are a lot of times where some of those weapons it's really hard to find ammo for because you basically if you get an ammo drop, you have most of the time it'll be predominantly 5.56 or 7.62, and the rest of them it's like you could go the whole game without ever seeing 45 caliber, and like your assault rifle fires 45 caliber, and so like you kind of just get screwed. So I would like to see them change that. They did a really good job. I was really concerned watching the trailers, and I didn't get to play the beta, but just watching the trailers and early things about Blackout, that the vehicles were going to be a little bit game-breaking, especially the helicopters. But I have not at all found that to be the case. Because one of the most frustrating things in PUBG is like when you get down to the last 10 people and 4 of them are in trucks and they're just like driving around the circle or whatever, trying to run people over.
That was fun.
And like that always sucked. So, and they like Player Unknown Studios or whatever their thing is called, I forget. They ended up having to nerf the vehicle damage and stuff like that to counter that, and so but you never end up with that in Call of Duty, and I like that. So in the helicopters, I've never seen anyone. I'm sure someone will come up with some clever way of using it, but I've never seen anyone use it maliciously, I guess. Actually, I take that back because we did have one guy. Anthony and I were in a helicopter. We were just landing, and we jumped out, and someone took their helicopter and tried to ram ours. Like he just flew it straight into the ground trying to blow us up.
He was like GTAing it right there.
Basically, yeah. But like I said, basically everything that they've implemented that's added that Call of Duty twist has been good. And then on top of it, it just like it looks better, it runs smoother, everything, because they have like a full studio behind them, and so it just works. It's better. It's objectively better.
I wouldn't be too surprised if some of those guys also played PUBG and they're just all right.
Oh yeah, yeah, probably for sure.
This is what they made a mistake, guys. Let's not do this. It just A, B equals C. That's it.
And another thing that they brought over from Fortnite, I think too, is Fortnite is still quicker than Blackout is, but Blackout is definitely quicker, I think, than PUBG, especially the movement. Like even though the map is probably just as big, I think the players themselves can move more quickly, and it doesn't take you 30 years to parachute down to the ground. Like with the like flying squirrel suit thingamabobs now. So that was a nice change.
Unreal.
I'm really enjoying it so far. I think it's
a good experience.
I think this was a best case scenario for the battle royale genre. I think is like, and we'll see what happens next month when Battlefield's version comes out.
Even better.
It's gonna be hard to top this. I think it's just it was like you were saying earlier about how you wished Call of Duty had done this earlier, and like this game mode was made for Call of Duty. Yeah. That's what, after having played it now for like a week or so, or like a weekend, you know, I have like 20 to 25 matches of Blackout probably under my belt, and like it was made for Call of Duty.
Dude, I already realized it the first time I played. The first game I was just, wow, what were you guys doing the last 3 years? Or last 4 years?
The only thing I'm curious to see what they do is if they, I don't really know how well it would work, if it would be too easy to kill people, or I don't know. They'd have to mess with it a little bit, but I'm curious to see if they would have a second version that's like hardcore Blackout.
That would be interesting.
Because it's one thing that is frustrating is that like with armor especially, it can be like a 3-shot sniper kill where like you have to shoot the guy 3 times with your sniper rifle. And like I would just like to see
more realism,
a little bit more.
Okay. I think also one more thing to add is the kind of thing that PUBG didn't really do as well is kind of racking up a goal, like having like a goal, like the barracks or whatever you want to call it. Like you have goals you actually kind of like want to achieve after playing a game. Like you're not just like going.
Well, there are they've been kind of trickling them out, but there are character objectives.
Yeah.
So you can unlock skins for all the multiplayer people, and then there's like kind of a, I forget what it's called, but like kind of a classic thing where it has like Reznov and Ghost and like all of those people.
So like that kind of like a thing where you're trying to just unlock things. You're not just opening up a random crate and hope I get something. Yeah, it makes more sense.
Yeah,
because you're working towards something. Because I don't know the whole full outfit thing for PUBG. I don't know the whole full thing for Fortnite. This I see it right there, right in front of me.
I didn't even realize it, but I guess I did not even think about it at all during any time I played Blackout. But there aren't any loot boxes. Yeah, like the customization is just like whatever that character looks like.
And I think that's more. They're like consumer friendly or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, they're friendly. 4 male and 4 female presets, and then other than that, it's just like characters you unlock from challenges and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's already a good experience that I've barely touched it, and I've already had a good experience, and I feel like I will continue. I'm gonna get mad when I die, but that's a battle royale for you, man. You get better. That's it.
Yeah, I'm really liking it. It was this game mode. I agree with you that this was made for Call of Duty.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. I was right. Actually, I've been right a couple times since we've been doing this podcast. Times. More than a couple. I think we're at a handful.
Let's stick with a couple.
We have a full hand, I think.
Okay.
Because like the first
a couple times you've been right.
So that's more than a couple. It's
a couple. That's a couple fingers.
I had one last week for sure.
You had one. This is true.
So
now we're back down to one, not a couple, just one.
No, okay. I've had more than that before.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I remember editing 2 check marks in, so 5.
I don't remember that, so.
That's too bad.
I can neither confirm nor deny these allegations.
Well, it's on YouTube, so.
I can neither confirm nor deny these allegations.
Let's get into the last topic before we get into history. But before we do that, let us know in the comments down below what you guys think of Blackout so far, what you like, what you don't like. Do you think we're stupid for saying that Call of Duty was not built for the Battle Royale genre, or Battle Royale genre was not built for Call of Duty? And tell us any tips and tricks that we can use to win games, even though you've won a good amount of games already.
I think I've won 4 or 5. That's the one thing. Sorry, just real quick before we move on. Like Blackout has brought me back into Call of Duty because Blackout is not the just Twitch reaction multiplayer that Call of Duty has turned into. Well, that has really kind of always been, but like especially over the last 5, 6, 7 years has like really turned into this just like Twitch shooter, people playing with their sensitivity super high and like just running and jumping around corners and whatever. Like Blackout is not that. It still rewards that like patience and like just careful aim and careful planning a little bit. So I think that's why if this is in Call of Duty for the rest of however long the Call of Duty franchise lasts, like I'm in.
It would have been interesting to play World War II with this kind of mode. Ugh.
Yeah, that's true.
God damn it. Activision. Anyways, we're going to get into our next topic. Not really breaking news, kind of breaking news. It's a little old, but we're going to go into more of the creative side with this topic because this is the stuff I kind of want to do in a way. So recently there was an article, I think it was an IGN article that came out about the possibility or the works of Microsoft purchasing the well-respected studio of Obsidian Entertainment and having them be an exclusive studio to the Xbox console. And I was talking to my buddy here, Jacob, about thinking about what kind of game Obsidian could possibly make and the different ideas that were coming up. I do want to note something. I saw, I believe, it was a Collins video. It was the one with the seven Star Wars games.
Okay.
And what you talked about, what I'm going to bring up right now, was he said at the initiative, it would be cool if the initiative made an exclusive third-person kind of game for the Xbox, since the Xbox would want to kind of compete with Sony's Marvel game, the Spider-Man game. But then you brought up how Obsidian made Knights of the Old Republic back in the day, and I was like, they kind of already have some kind of history with the Star Wars kind of franchise, and it would kind of make sense if somehow Microsoft could pull that deal off. That could be the first potential game that we can talk about right now, is maybe an RPG Star Wars game. But I don't know what you were gonna say.
I would definitely would want to see that, even if it's. I would be down either way. Like if it was a new Star Wars game or if it was Knights of the Old Republic 3, that would be something that would really excite me. But the problem is that EA still has the license. So like EA
for now,
for the next 4 years, I think.
Okay.
So I would imagine that if say this deal goes through like before the end of the year, for example, I would imagine that Obsidian will get one game out before the Star Wars license is available.
Yeah, before they can take a crack at it. But that's a good way of looking at the history of it and kind of seeing like, oh wait, if EA isn't, doing this well or isn't creating good games anymore, I mean, they're still making good games, but making good Star Wars games where the fans are really, giving it, the credit it deserves. It would be interesting to see if, someone else could crack at it. And I think with the Knights of the Old Republic, it's one of the games you loved.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be interesting to see if they get a crack at it. And then if Microsoft can pull that off, it would be an exclusive next gen, obviously, or maybe the next gen, whatever you want to, however far down the line this game's going to be. But that would be an interesting game, an RPG Star Wars game. It's kind of like the similar kind of topic to when we talked about the Harry Potter leak and whatnot. Kind of like a game where, why doesn't this game have an RPG game? And it seems where people are getting the RPG kind of elements and kind of genre has gotten people to think like, why doesn't this world have an RPG game?
Is the Old Republic still going?
The
like computer,
I believe
MMO
so. Yeah,
thing?
not as strong, obviously, as like a World of Warcraft, but
yeah,
it's definitely a niche audience where it's mostly Star Wars fans probably playing that. It's kind of like a WoW.
I was just curious.
WoW has its own kind of lore and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to, like, niche people are playing those kind of games or that specific game. Because I remember playing it with our good friend Joshua Evenson back in the day. I think you played. Did you play it at all?
I did not know.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
I know he did. Him, Aaron, and
yeah,
Josh both.
I played
did.
with Aaron too. So I remember playing with group text from Brandon. Playing games with that, and it was a decent game. It was a little weird. Kind of some of it didn't make sense, but you just went along with it because it was Star Wars, and you kind of were building this universe around the character you created, and I kind of like that. And if someone can do more of a story-driven, just good mechanics, basic thing like that, I think Obsidian could do that because we've seen that with what they've done with the South Park games, Knights of the Old Republic, and also they've done the Fallout games. So they've definitely have the, well, I don't know if the DNA or whatever you want to call it, to build a game of that caliber and that potential. Any other game I can think off the top of my head, I think the futuristic kind of genres are kind of gonna come. I think that's like maybe the next wave. I think Cyberpunk is. I mean, there's another game that was. I know Sony made that the recent game, Detroit. Kind of like that futuristic kind of looking game. I feel like those kind of games are going to be not the zombie thing, or like it's going to be a weird kind of new set of games that I feel that people are going to want to play. You get Starfield that's coming out with Bethesda. So you're kind of seeing this kind of weird direction that video game companies are going to go in with like their story, and I feel that they have more avenues, more possibilities, more ways of being creative, and also not being the same from each other, because that genre has kind of not been touched too much, I feel, with the futuristic kind of genre. And I think the Cyberpunk game is going to really open a lot of studios and probably studios' heads eyes, like, wow, we need to make a game like that, but in our own way. And I think Obsidian could probably pull that off as well.
Right. So that's what I started writing down here. So the way I was gonna kind of just go with this is obviously, so if they were to acquire Obsidian, it would be the 5th that they've announced since E3.
Yes.
So there was Ninja Theory. I looked it up earlier, but I already forgot like what the other ones are. They announced 4. Oh, they started the Initiative.
Yeah.
Then there was Ninja Theory. Yeah. And then there were a couple others. I think it was the We Happy Few developers they required. That was one of them. In any case, like, so adding Obsidian to this, you're seeing now what Sony went through with the PS3, I think, where like there was a real lull in their games and their like ecosystem, and so like the PS3 was a learning period for them, and now they're like killing it with the PS4. And I think that like the Xbox One has been a huge learning period. You see, like, if you just look at how the Xbox One was being marketed when it launched to now, it's completely different. Right, yeah. So it's completely different now, and so I think every acquisition like this that Microsoft makes just makes me more excited for the next system, because I think I think Microsoft are really going to come out just with like all the guns on the next. That's what they're preparing for, because none of these people, obviously, the studio that put out We Happy Few put out a game because that game was coming out right after they were acquired. But all these other people, like, they're going to be working on something new. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really excited for that. I think the most likely thing is that they'll probably be all new IPs, at least probably the first round, or maybe like a something that I could see maybe an Obsidian doing is doing something with the Fable franchise, because it's something that's been dormant since 3.
I don't want that.
You don't want that?
No, give it to a different studio. I want Obsidian to make something just on their own, but I know they really have been able to take older IP or different IP and kind of make it better, because they did the South Park games and obviously the Fallout. Like, people love New Vegas more than 3. I'm a person that likes 3 because I like the setting a little bit more than New Vegas.
Okay. But
I think New Vegas, like, gameplay wise and kind of just the things they tweaked from 3 are just like, oh, I wish I did this in 3. But what was I gonna say? Nuts sacks. What are we gonna say with that?
Well, so what I wrote down here was basically the games, or like what could turn into franchises that Xbox needs to counter.
Okay.
So there's Horizon Zero Dawn,
okay,
which like obviously sold millions of copies, had incredible reviews. It's a third person. I think that game is RPG. I don't know. I've not played it. Where you're like leveling up.
Some would say it was the game of the year that year.
Some would say that. That's true. They also need to counter God of War. So that's like a very like story driven, also third person, but kind of like a personal story. Obviously they don't have, I don't think that Xbox has, I'm not sure really, but like I don't know that they have an old franchise like that to kind of like what made God of War was like obviously familiarity with the older games, but like how different it was also from the older games, and like they don't really have that available to them to make that sort of transition.
Well, the thing I think they already kind of countered with that, with just the original set of God of War games, where they're really like gruesome, really nasty, really gritty, and a lot of
I would
blood.
say Gears was
the counter to that, and I think what they've done with the latest couple of games of Gears, since Gears 3, really, it's not been really story driven too well. I feel like the directions they went in aren't as good as what they did with the original trilogy.
Okay, yeah.
And
sure.
I feel if they can get some good writing in there, have the team work on the gameplay, obviously, that they want to get the mechanics down, but then they also don't try to like fix something that's not broken. It's kind of like they did with Halo 2, or with Halo in general, but also just have something really strong like they did with the relationship between Marcus and Dominic.
Yeah.
And have something really like solid where you're just, oh, this feels really good. And then it also could be something new as well, new experience.
Yeah, I think though that I would agree with you that like the original God of War trilogy was countered by Gears of War, but I don't think like I wouldn't equate God of War now to what it was then.
Yeah, but I think they can also reinvent Gears in a way as well. So
yeah, they could, and that's one thing that could happen too, is that you could see a studio or two getting a little bit of freedom with Halo, or with like obviously like Halo Wars hasn't been doing so well, so like I wouldn't say that Halo is more than one genre at the moment, but it is definitely a franchise that's capable of being more than one genre. So like something like that, or like Gears of War. They are releasing a Gears of War strategy game because it's Gears Tactics, I think, that they announced at E3, and they also have that like weird Funko Pop game coming out. I don't know what's going on with that.
Garbage.
So God of War, Spider-Man, I have on here. Detroit, which is something that's like very. You were the one that reminded me of that when you brought that up. Like that game is like very highly decision-based driven as far as like where the story leads.
Thank you, Walking Dead and Telltale.
Yeah, probably. And then I also remember the other one, the probably the biggest one that I didn't have on here that I remembered at the end was The Last of Us. So like that being just like purely, so like God of War now and The Last of Us being just like pure, and actually Horizon Zero Dawn, like pure single player, well-written stories.
I think that's what the initiative is working on, probably.
Yeah, and it could be like, and I would expect probably at least 2 of the 5 to be working on something like that. Like they just need, and then I also wrote down Days Gone, but I don't feel like the zombie genre is really in right now. I think it's faded. I think it's past its prime.
Yeah, I wouldn't. When I saw that game, I thought it was the stupidest thing I've seen at E3 that year, honestly.
And they have, is Dead Island an Xbox exclusive?
Dead Rising.
Dead Rising, that's what I meant. That's okay, yeah.
That's Insomniac, I believe, that made the last one.
Okay. So yeah, they're definitely, at least they have a little bit of a blueprint for the type of game that I think that they need to put out. Just looking at what Sony has seen so much success with over the last like 3 years or so.
Well, you look at Gears of War, The Last of Us, the Uncharted, and God of War.
I forgot about Uncharted too. Yeah,
it is like the over the top third person, like story driven kind of single player mode. They just need to do one game like that, honestly.
Yeah. You're right.
But Gears, they can have like a great story, and just throw in what they want to do in mechanics, and then just have another team just literally do the multiplayer, and you're done. That's it. You have a great game.
Yeah.
And then Halo, just go back to the basics. I've already heard good things already. I've heard from people that have said the new Halo game, they're gonna go back to the original trilogy and how it played.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's better off. I don't know. I think after Reach, it just was starting to go into like a totally different direction. Where
Reach for sure, the multiplayer for sure went in a total different direction with like all the armor abilities and stuff like that. Yeah.
And then just new franchises, man. It's just hook someone, dude. Because this Death Stranding crap doesn't even look good. Sorry.
Yeah. I think I would. I expect that most of these will be new franchises. I think. I wouldn't be surprised to see one of these studios, like I mentioned before, making something to do with Fable. I wouldn't be surprised to see one of these studios. I'll say I would be surprised, but I would very much enjoy if one of these studios was working on like a Quantum Break 2, because I think that game was. I will die.
Underrated.
I will die on that hill that game was criminally underrated.
Yep.
except for the very ending. I'm sorry, the ending was really bad. But most people didn't even play the game to get that far, so that's not a reason not to play it.
I still think with whatever they do with Creative Assembly, I think not that they need to make a Halo game. Maybe they just need to make its own kind of RTS game. It'd be interesting to have an exclusive RTS game on the console. I'm not sure if that would bring in people or not console, but also on the PC.
Right, that's what I was going to. That was literally just what I was thinking right now, is that it's also possible that they, with their connections with like the Play Anywhere thing where you can play your Xbox games on PC, it opens the door for strategy games.
I wouldn't want to play with PC players on that game, though.
Oh, well. But do you really want to play an RTS with an Xbox controller?
Well, if I have the option to play with the keyboard and mouse, then yeah.
I think it does already have keyboard and mouse support.
Okay, so then we're good then.
Okay. Because the controls are, I mean, they've never, that's the one thing that holds back strategy games on console is like the controls. Yeah.
So if I'm able to play that style of game with a keyboard and mouse, let's do it, dude.
If they could get, I'm a huge fan of XCOM and I'm a huge fan of Civilization. If they could get, like, if they could get a, or even I guess in RTS it would be, anything Creative Assembly. I would say if they could somehow pull in like an Age of Empires or something along those lines.
No, F all of that. You know why? Give me some Total War, baby.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. Total War is not going to pigeonhole itself. I guess actually.
No, I'm not saying. No, it's not an exclusive. You're just like, hey, you want to be on the Xbox?
It would only be on the X. You're right.
Oh.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, I see where you're going. So so they could offer console exclusivity to any of the major
RTSs.
Yeah. So like Sid Meier,
Dota, LOL on that crap too.
Right. Yeah, you're right. That's possible. That's with the Play Anywhere thing. You can tie it to your Xbox account or whatever.
Sorry guys, we're really pro Xbox over here.
Yeah, it's kind of honestly one of my biggest complaints against the PlayStation is just the controller.
Yeah.
I would never I'm enjoying playing Call of Duty Blackout right now. Would not want to play Call of Duty Blackout with a PS4 controller.
Another
controller straight trash. Sorry.
I think a funny thing I saw of a post of the next consoles, like someone did like some prototypes, and the controllers basically like swapped. I was like, Xbox is not going in that direction. I don't understand where
they're not that stupid.
Yeah, they're not idiots. And it showed I think PlayStation's coming out with like a new controller that's basically like the Xbox controller. It's like a knockoff. Yeah. Oh, welcome. You're like 10 years late, but yeah.
Even Nintendo has a better controller than.
Like
the Nintendo Pro controller is a better controller than the PS4 controller. It's ridiculous.
But yeah,
how it's not the staggered stick.
But yeah, there's a lot of strategic moves that Xbox can make. I think what I don't want is if they make all these great moves and they get cocky and it works out and they get cocky. I just want them to keep going into that direction where you just bury. You just start either you take the lead, and then you just bury them.
I don't know. It's cyclical, I think, because...
That's a problem, though.
Like, Sony got cocky. They came out with a $600 PS3, and it blew up in their face. Like, they dominated with the PS2 and the PS1. And they're like, oh, we're going to put out a $600 console, and everyone's going to just come on their knees to buy our console, regardless of the price, because we're Sony. And they ridiculously blew up in their face.
Yeah. So, and I think...
$599.99.
There's going to be a lot of big moves, but I would want to see the next consoles are going to be big to look at, I guess. We're going to see.
Probably only a couple years away.
Yeah. Because we're
get them 4K TVs.
We're getting into the talks of the Xbox and Sony or PlayStation just being apps. Because I've heard that conversation already. Because it's all going to be streaming or... Because like I just told you...
There were those rumors about the streaming Xbox.
They're streaming the Switch in Japan.
Oh yeah.
The Assassin's Creed and then on Chrome browsers as well. Assassin's Creed in either China or Japan, I believe. So I'm like, oh, that's the future. That looks like the future right there. But Xbox wasn't wrong about when they talked about being all in one and being all digital and whatnot. So I don't know, man. It's crazy stuff, crazy times.
I feel like we might end up, a console or two later. If there is a 2 generations from now or whatever, where we're gonna look back at what Xbox tried to do, and be like they were just ahead of their time.
Yeah,
because I can't see a scenario where that's not where we end up. Is something along those lines, but like it for whatever reason it it blew up in Microsoft's face, and everyone's like, "No, we want all games."
Well, Xbox has always been ahead of its time in a lot of things. So.
So, but I mean, in this case, it cost them a generation, basically.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're getting into history, but before we do that, let us know in the comments down below what you think Obsidian is going to make in their next game, and what you think Xbox or the other studios that Xbox has taken under, and see what games they're going to make as well. Let us know in the comments down below, and let us know your ideas so I can laugh at them.
Man, you're just all about just laughing at other people's things today.
Yeah, I want to hear some great
that you're gonna laugh at their television shows and their movies that we didn't talk about.
What I want to see here is like this dude's like great idea. He's like thought of for just years of like an Xbox exclusive game, and just to like, that's just like that game, dude. What are you talking about?
Just blow up his world.
It's like, oh man, I've been trying to develop this game for 2 years. I'm like, that sucks. But let's get into history, young man. There's not that much it looks like in
There's
history
not.
this week.
That's why I told you before we started recording that I should have typed it.
But it's all good. We expanded on that Obsidian topic with Microsoft.
We did.
And I think it was a good talk. And I think people will appreciate us talking about that.
Okay.
So let's hit the monkey in the arse with this history.
Okay. Let's do that.
I Falcon punched Lily this morning, but not like I didn't really punch her, but like like Falcon punch is kind of like slow. It kind of seems slow.
Sure.
And then but I just like nicked her like that.
Okay.
And she was like,
"What you doing?"
Yeah.
I scratch you.
She didn't do that. She's too lazy to raise the paw.
That's true. I could just picture her like when you did it. She was just like hanging on the arm, just like with all four.
Oh no, she was
down.
She was on Carly's bed. She's just like. Okay. She was just like.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, you ready?
Yes.
So this is starting on October 18th.
October 18th.
Running through Thursday, October 18th through Wednesday. Did I mess this up? Nope. Wednesday. October 24th.
October 24th.
So get ready.
Let's get it.
Ready your ears. Here we go. October 18th. In the year 1867.
1867.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Kind of.
The Alaska Territory is officially transferred from Russia to the United States. I think we paid like a few cents an acre or something like that to Russia.
Yeah. When was didn't they have an Alaskan gold rush or something like that?
Yeah, Yukon. It was in the Yukon Territory.
Was that like during that time or after?
It was... probably
shortly after, I'm guessing.
Yes, I think it was shortly after, because I don't think Russia would have just been giving it up.
Well, they probably were... The other transaction after how people find out oh my god, we bought land. Let's go
I'm
there.
thinking about it. The Yukon is not even in Alaska, is it? It's like Canada.
Yeah, but I think it's probably on the border. I'm guessing.
Yeah, okay.
But regardless, there's probably settlers that move there. They're like, oh, new opportunity. Maybe they might have gold up here. They probably heard a story too of some dude finding gold.
Yep, and then they were like, wow, it's really cold. I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, I froze my balls off.
That was the only thing I had for October 18th.
October 18th.
Short and sweet. Bye.
Boring ass day.
I also only have one thing for October 19th.
Oh, wow.
October 19th, 1954. Egypt and Britain sign an agreement ending 72 years of British military occupation, and Egypt had to agree to allow free passage through the Suez Canal.
And that's where Dick hit the fan, man.
I guess, yeah.
Because that was when, 1954? So basically right after World War II, Britain was basically fatigued and in debt, I believe, and then even they were on rations up until the 50s, right?
Yes.
So they were just basically like worn out, and the conflicts going on with the Palestinians and the Israelis in that region, where they were just like, cash out, dog. We're done.
Also only have one for October 20th.
God
like this is really short. I didn't really feel like there were a lot of really interesting things that happened.
Do I need to pull up history, please? No,
No.
I'm just kidding.
No, you don't. October 20th, 1818.
1818.
Another Canadian reference here.
Canada.
The United States and Britain established the 49th parallel as the border between the United States and Canada.
Wow.
So like that line, that like Washington, Idaho, Montana line.
Except where they get to where I think what the new Super Troopers movie. I don't know where that takes place.
Didn't see it, so I don't know.
So like they added territory into
Oh,
Canada.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's how that movie
Fair enough.
starts, or the plot starts.
Okay.
But I thought it was stupid. But it made sense how to get the movie started.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I apologize.
That's good. October 21st, 1797.
1797.
The USS Constitution is launched in Boston Harbor. Nickname is Old Ironside. It is the oldest ship that is still serving, technically, even though it's not, but it's docked in probably like Boston. Oldest warship, Navy ship serving in any of the World Navy.
Mm.
And it's like I think probably the last of like the wooden frigates.
Don't say. That thing must have been repaired so many times.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because wood sucks in water.
For sure. Also, October 21st, in the year 1833, Alfred Nobel is born. Obviously, most famous now, I guess, for the Nobel Prize.
Hey, you like dynamite?
But yes,
'Cause
that's what I was going to
that
say.
guy.
But a lot of people, I guess, probably don't realize or don't know that he invented dynamite.
And became a rich man.
And then had
And
like
then-
a moral crisis over it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't used in the way he thought it was going to be used.
And he decided.
Because people figured out, hey, we can blow up other people with the
Yeah.
dynamite.
Well, that and just like the destruction of just stuff in general.
Yeah.
And what was then he started the Nobel Peace Prize. I don't know how did he have like endless pockets? Because that stuff was like every year, and they give not just a Nobel Peace Prize. Don't they give like a certain amount of money too?
Yeah, you get like $100,000 something like
Okay. Well, still like $100,000. Like what year was that?
that. He was born in 1833.
So 1833. So you must have accumulated his fortune probably in the mid 1800s.
Well, but it's not like now anyway. It's not like him or his family that are paying the money. It's like
Okay.
an organization. It's like
it's all donated.
it's like the Oscars now. It's like a international.
Okay, but is it like how do they? We gotta do some research on this, find out how they're getting all this money to get the scientists.
Like maybe back in the day he was the one paying it himself, but like not anymore. It's like
Mhm.
it's like a foundation,
Okay.
and they probably offer like grants and stuff for like research and stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah, it probably is like highly dependent on donations.
But maybe he made so much money to where that's all. It's like,
Maybe, I mean, it's
Yeah.
possible. The dude invented dynamite. I mean, they used dynamite for everything back
Mm.
then.
or the guy from that invented barbed wire made a lot of money too.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot of barbed wire fences.
Mm-hmm. Smart
Uh,
people.
October 21st, 1967 is the anniversary of the March on the Pentagon. 50,000 people.
50,000.
What did I say?
You said 50,000.
50,000? Oh, 50,000.
50,000. Correction.
Yes.
Correction.
50,000 people marched to the Pentagon to protest United States involvement in Vietnam.
Vietnam. So that war is that class I'm taking is more and more depressing. You know what, like one of the most sought after resources in Vietnam was?
That part of the world has a lot of rubber. I don't know if
That was one of them.
Okay.
The Michelin Company, the French Michelin Company was
Okay.
there. But opium.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
And I did not know this. And there was a lot of opium that was there.
Yeah, that
And-
whole part of the world is full of it.
Yeah, from there all the way to Afghanistan, there's like that stretch. It's crazy.
That is my last thing for the 21st. October 22nd, 1836, Sam Houston is sworn in as the very first president of the Republic of Texas,
Those.
which was a somewhat short-lived little adventure between.
It's only like
Like-
5 or 6 years, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think I would have guessed like 7, but yeah, somewhere in there. Not a very amount. So like between their, I don't think you can call it secession from Mexico, but like leaving Mexico, they were their own country for a little bit, yeah. And then they joined the Union.
I visit the San Joaquin. I don't remember the battle site. I think it was Joaquin or Huachinco or something like that.
Now you're just making things up.
No, it starts with a J, but it's I have to look at it again.
Okay.
And they have like a Washington Memorial there just like it's like exactly like the Watchmen Memorial almost, and it has like a big old Texas star up. You go up and then you can like oversee
Washington Monument, you mean, like in
monument. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's memorial too, right? Maybe.
No, I don't
Okay.
think I would call it a memorial.
Never mind.
I mean, he's not buried there or anything. He's buried at
Well,
Mount Vernon.
Okay. Whatever.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
So they have like the same kind of like tower, and then you go up and then you see overhead of everything, and then it explains like what was part of the battle, and that was if you ever watched the Alamo at the very end, that's where that place or what that took place there, the last battle, and then visiting the Alamo is really cool too. Definitely a good like learning experience on not just the strategic, I guess, way of how the Mexicans took over, but also like the weaponry and whatnot they used was like really interesting. But yeah, Santa Anna, General Santa Anna, the New World Napoleon. I think that's what they called him.
Does. All right.
Yeah.
October 22nd, 1978. Pope John Paul II is inaugurated in Rome in the Vatican.
Nice.
And I did not know this. I didn't realize that it was kind of such an exclusive thing, but he was the first non-Italian pope since 1523.
Who?
Pope John Paul. He was Polish.
Yes. Okay.
And he was the first non-Italian since 1523.
Okay, 1520.
So like 450 years there was not anyone who wasn't from Italy.
So the guy replaced him. Where was he from?
He's from Argentina.
No, because that guy died, and then they switched. Remember, that guy got kind of like outed or something like that. Then the pope after him.
Oh,
there's been two popes.
I think you're right. I don't remember where the one that's in. I forget his name.
He's from Argentina.
Yeah, Pope Francis is the one.
Pope Francis. Yeah.
Is there a Benedict that was in there?
Maybe that's
between,
because they always change their names once they become popes.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not too sure if it was Benedict.
So I think it's Francis, and it's from Argentina. Because I remember, like, we follow soccer. Obviously, I think he had like a River Plate. River Plate is like his team or whatever.
Well, I don't know what it is, but I always watch events like that. I remember maybe it's my dad's fault probably, but how like they talk about or the process of becoming and then announcing popes. Like they have a thing where they have cameras on these little pipes at the Vatican, and it like if they have like a certain ones are lit, then they figured out which one. Like, oh, Pope, they just confirmed the Pope. They're gonna announce it right now. Weird stuff like that. Makes no sense, but yeah.
That is it for the 22nd. October 23rd, 1783. Virginia emancipates all slaves who like live in Virginia anyway, who served in the Continental Army. So it was like kind of one of the not the first step towards ending slavery, but like one of kind of the middle steps. A lot of people, especially today with all the revisionist, this is why I put this one in here, all of the revisionist history that goes down, people saying like, oh, well, like all of our founding fathers were slave owners and this, that, and the other. First off, most of them inherited them. That doesn't necessarily was not necessarily a reflection of their opinions. And secondly, a lot of people like Thomas Jefferson, for example, when he was involved in the Virginia government, like before even the United States, they outlawed you could no longer import slaves into Virginia, and then eventually when he was president, you could no longer import slaves into the United States. So that like, because like he was obviously, they were, in my opinion anyway, they were not in a position where they could have just got rid of slavery.
Yeah, exactly.
And like kept the United States together. That was the reality of it.
They also took steps to,
but they did as much as they could.
Yeah, they took steps to try to minimize it, but also they really like laid the foundation in the Constitution to future whatever you want to talk about. They future emancipation of all slaves. And you think about, because when people will start to read, they're like, well, what about slaves? And then that's when it starts to really get people thinking. It's mostly was women back in the day that were really had a lot of empathy for them, and it kind of infected into like their husbands and their sons, and it kind of is really, you know, I don't not shined upon. What's the opposite of shine upon? It's really,
like, I don't know, hidden or
I guess hidden, but like it's always looked in a bad way of like that, because Washington,
Looked down upon.
Yeah, looked down upon. It's Washington. I mean, inherited slaves to his wife. I think so did Jefferson, or maybe through his parents.
Jefferson did.
But then
Madison did as well.
Washington didn't. In his will, he tried to, emancipate all the slaves, but it was illegal. So there's nothing he could have done.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Like there's, like when they talk about like the way of life or the way it was, and like, oh, that's wrong. That's wrong. Like, yeah, okay. 20 years ago, being gay like was looked down upon, and now it's normal. I mean, or it's not like looked at that way anymore.
Yeah.
Like come on. There's tons of people like there was Hillary Clinton that was looking at people like that, and then now she's like she just flipped the dime. Come on, calm down. Stop being outraged.
There were even things like any of the new territories that in the very young United States, like the Ohio Territory, for example, like it was not legal to have slaves there. So like people from especially the northeastern states that did have slaves, they would literally travel to the Ohio Territory and free their slaves in the Ohio Territory and then come back like without them.
Yeah.
So like there was a limit on what they were legally able to do. And there was also a limit on what they were able to do and keep the United States actually together.
And then I think there came a time, I think after like the turn of the 18th century or going into the 19th century, slaves were, they were kind of given the opportunity, or I don't know if you want to call it an opportunity, I guess it's an opportunity to buy their freedom. And that was like starting to be more like a recurrent and more, numerous? No, common. There you go. God, just my words not popping in my head. Because the American History podcast talked about this guy's story of buying his freedom, and then buying his family's freedom. It's like it was a thing back then, and people worked their ass off to do that stuff. And I think those stories I enjoyed to listen to the most, because those stories kind of show you what America was going to be in a way, and like the direction it was going in. And people back in the day used to treat people way worse than what we're treating them during that time anyways. So, the farther back you go into time, the worse we humans treated humans.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
I agree. Moving on.
The more you know.
October 24th, 1861, Western Union completes the first transcontinental telegraph line. Thus, I'm not really sure why this ended the Pony Express, but apparently, according to the thing that I read, that like this was like the day that the Pony Express went out of business as well.
Pony Express was like a courier's?
Yeah, it was like literally people on horses,
yeah, because it's
carrying letters and stuff like that. No, I know, but like,
well, I'm just saying,
what if you need to mail a package? Like, you can't send a package over the telegraph. Maybe, yeah.
Well, maybe the Pony Express was it government? We have to double check that.
I'm not sure.
But it probably was just more privatized. Because, who can really afford back in the day to pay someone to take a package like that? You would have to be pretty wealthy to ask someone. Unless someone was doing that or making that service available, then that person was an entrepreneur.
Haven't you ever seen The Postman?
There's a movie called The Postman?
Yeah, it's a Kevin Costner movie. But it's like post-apocalyptic. It's different.
Oh, okay, never mind. Well, that makes no sense.
He finds a crashed car of like a postman.
Okay.
And he uses it as a like disguise. He like pretends to be a postman to like gain benefits from like all the little settlements in this post-apocalyptic world. Right. And then like he starts to unify people, and there starts to be all these rumors and grand stories about like this guy or whatever and everything that he's done, and he's been fighting the like system that's like trying to control these settlements and stuff like that. Sounds like
Fallout.
And so like he has to like he goes from like using it as a cover to like embracing it, and he like starts he like refounds the post office because it like brings hope. Like people can communicate with their family, like they find family members in other settlements. Stuff. It's a whole thing. It's like a 90s Kevin Costner movie.
Well, anyways, I think the only time people probably delivered a package like that was like for the military, when they needed to give orders to like across the country, basically.
No, but sure, but orders you can send over the thing. I'm talking like a thing. Like, what if I was gonna mail you?
But there's certain like that. The those aren't gonna be able to go like to everywhere because like we don't get cell service in certain areas, so like you have to physically go there to deliver that.
Yeah,
So
you're right. I lost my spot here. October 24th, 1929 is known as Black Thursday. It was the very first. It was the beginning of the stock market crash that led to the Great Depression. So it was like the first like big drop. Yeah, I mean, I guess that pretty much just sums it up.
There's so many weird myths on how that's so dumb.
There was I forget. I was talking with my dad and I were talking about like how the stock market is like it never seems to be able to get above like to get to like 27,000. It always like drops back down into like the 24s and then works its way back up and then drop or whatever. And so he was saying, it came up anyway, something about like the Great Depression. I was really curious, and I was telling him that like, yeah, it could decline, but like the GDP is like constantly going up for the most part, except for like maybe the short period of the Great Depression, and then like the gas, not the gas riots, but the gas shortages. And then like 2008 or whatever.
Or
and
no,
then
I don't know.
No, I think it was Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Okay.
But what I looked up was like what the S&P 500 number, like what the number was when the stock market crashed, and like the day, I think it was Black Thursday when I looked it up, like the day that the stock market opened that day, the stock market was at like 113. And so like I was just like showing him like how like it constantly goes up, like the drops and like the depression or whatever thing is like now it's percentage based. It's not like the stock market. I guess in theory it's possible, but like the stock market is not going to drop to zero. So like if it dropped to like 20,000, like that would be a huge depression probably though.
Yeah, one of the podcasts I listen to is the Peter Schiff podcast, and he's talks about the stock market and whatnot. And he's been, I've been listening to it for maybe 3 or 4 months. He's been predicting the like a recession coming in either by the end of this year or the beginning of this year. And like we've already seen 2 big drops, I think, within the last like 2 weeks. Yeah,
but they at least temporarily it seems like it's recovered.
Like
even today, I think it was up like 300 some points.
But yeah, there was I don't. He just went through like the numbers and how explaining why everything's dropping. That's the only reason why I really listen to it.
I'm not an economic expert at all by any stretch of it, but it's been honestly curious at best and like worrisome at worst.
Oh, I would be very worried.
How just I don't understand why the Fed they've raised the interest rate like 3 times in the last like not that long period of time. Like I know, like if it was going to be some crazy conspiracy theory, it'd be like that the Fed is trying to screw with the economy.
Well, I mean, they're kind of protecting it at the moment.
But raising the interest rates is not protecting the economy.
Yes and no. The problem with what he's explaining is that we're getting loaned out money. Like Americans are loaning out too much money at the moment. That's why you see college debt. You see like when someone buys a new car, like a regular person, are they taking out a loan for that? Well, the same thing with the house. There's too much money being loaned out and not enough of it, being paid back.
Okay.
Also, a lot of people defaulting. So they're basically losing money.
So the interest rates are people. Not as many people are going to get into the loans because of the interest rates.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Well, also like what they did prior or after the last recession was basically having 0% interest rate. That was like he said that was the stupidest move ever, even though it was good to. It was like a little jolt, obviously, to the economy to make it move again, but that's another reason why we're not taking kind of responsibility or accountability here. And also that a lot of the products that we're buying there's a lot more money going out than in as well, is what he was explaining.
Okay.
Just because of China. But also if the economy here goes bad, then he was explaining why the last recession, why everything else went bad, just because on how a lot of people rely on our just money. But also it might be the opposite effect to where a lot of people, like the outside economies, might be better off without us. In a way, I don't know. He was explaining, like, he went really in depth on what is
interesting.
You would have to listen to it, but I can't really explain it. I would have to like listen to it again and like write down notes on what he said. But
okay,
interesting.
I got just a few more here. October 24th, 1931 was the day that Al Capone went to prison for tax evasion.
Al Capone.
They got him. October 24th, 1938, The Fair Labor Standards Act formally established the 40-hour work week as we know it today.
Oh, wow.
And
Goodbye.
last but not least, October 24th, 1945, the UN is founded by 29 charter nations after they agreed to publish their constitution thing about.
Thingamaboob.
So there you go. That is this week in history.
This week in history. League of Nations sucks. Really does. Or did.
I mean, League of Nations is not the United Nations, but sure.
But it was pretty bad.
Good
Anyways.
old Woodrow Wilson.
Oh, yes and no.
I mean, that was his brainchild.
Mm-hmm. But we never really joined it, so it didn't really matter. Because if an American is not involved, then it's not really anything. Boom, boom. Sorry. Sorry if I insulted you from other places in the world, but I don't really care. Sorry. Dust. Oh, dust. Anyways, let us know in the comments down below of what you liked about history this week, or what the things that we brought up, and tell me if I was wrong about anything, and also let us know in the comments down below if we miss anything, and then we're just gonna laugh at you.
All right.
But yeah, that has been it, ladies and gentlemen. That has been the 15th edition of this show. 15? I think we're at 15, I believe. But that is it. Like I said, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the College Avenue channel. Go ahead and like the video, please, and thank you. Go ahead and share this with all your invisible friends, and let you know if you're listening on the audio or watching us on YouTube that this is also available on audio. It's available on SoundCloud, on Apple Podcasts, and Google Play Podcasts. And to go over there, if you're listening, then know that we also do a video version, because we just do that because it's fun.
Because that's what we do.
That's what we do. Yes. And go ahead and check out all the other videos that we're doing as well. Jacob is doing a Road to Glory with FIFA 19. It's kicking ass over there. I just saw before I do the thumbnail. You murdered people in that game, and then also
Basically.
my interviews with local bands and local artists, and the Above Ground Radio podcast. And yeah, we shall see you later. But we're gonna do another podcast. I've been the host, Richard Radio, joined by the man with the noggin, Jacob Bullard, and we'll see you guys next week.